Welcome to another deep dive. We're taking a close look at VST Industries today.
Oh, yeah.
They're India's third largest cigarette maker.
Right.
Not exactly a small player.
No, definitely not.
And we've got a good bit to dig through their financials.
Okay.
Some stock analysis from Screener and a couple of recent company announcements.
Interesting. Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
For sure. But that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
So let's see what we can uncover about how they're doing and what they're planning.
Yeah, sounds good.
Starting with their financial picture.
Right.
Their latest quarterly statement shows revenue from operations hitting 46,104 lakhs.
Okay.
That's up 4% from the previous quarter,
Not bad.
but just a smidge over 1% higher than the same time last year.
That's a bit slower.
Yeah, so what do you make of that?
Well, 4% growth quarter over quarter, that's not too shabby,
Right.
especially given, the current state of the Indian cigarette industry.
Sure.
But that tiny 1% year-over-year increase,
Yeah.
it does make you wonder, are they keeping up?
Keeping up with their own past performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's maybe not a stellar revenue story at the moment.
Right.
But how about profitability? Let's see.
Right.
Their profit before tax for this last quarter was 6,468 lakhs.
Okay.
And after-tax profit came in at 4,768 lakhs.
Okay.
Cause for celebration? Or should we be worried?
Well, definitely something to look at more closely.
Right.
Because while profit before tax is actually down a bit compared to last year at this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a little bit. But still, the profit after tax, that's gone up.
Interesting.
Yeah, it could mean they've gotten better at managing their taxes.
Right, making the most of those liabilities.
Exactly. And for investors, that's usually a good thing.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of investors, VST Industries just recently announced a 10.1 bonus share issue.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So for every share you own...
You get 10 more.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Not creating new value out of thin air or anything.
Right.
But what's the thinking behind a move like that?
Well, it's actually quite a strategic move.
Okay.
Even though the bonus share issue, it doesn't directly change the company's value.
Right.
It can have a psychological effect on the market.
How so?
Well, by increasing the number of shares out there,
Okay.
the price per share goes down,
Makes sense.
makes it more affordable for smaller investors.
I see.
And that can increase trading volume and attract new interests.
So it's kind of like opening the door wider
Exactly.
to let more people in.
Yeah. And it could boost their market profile overall.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, the record date for those of bonus shares was August 30th of this year.
Okay.
But let's shift gears a bit and look at some of the choices VST Industries has been making.
Sure.
More on the strategic side of things.
Oh, yeah. Their operational decisions are definitely just as important as the financials.
Absolutely.
They've got some big shifts in motion, could really impact their future.
Okay, so first up, they're moving their whole manufacturing operation.
Oh, wow.
Consolidating everything from their Azamabad facility
Right.
over to their existing plant in Toopran,
Ambitious.
aiming to finish the move by next year.
Big project.
What are they hoping to achieve with all this?
Well, consolidating operations,
Yeah.
it's a pretty classic move for mature industries.
Okay.
Like tobacco, It lets them streamline production, make logistics more efficient,
Right.
and maybe even cut down on those overhead costs.
So it's all about becoming leaner
Exactly.
and more cost-effective.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
They're also planning to monetize their Azamabad property.
Ah.
Now, for those of us who aren't real estate experts,
Right.
what does that actually mean?
So in this case, monetizing basically means they're looking to sell the property
Oh, okay.
to get some cash.
Turn it into liquid funds
Exactly.
that they could use for other things.
The big question is,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with all that cash?
Exactly. Reinvest it in the Toopran facility, develop some new products, maybe give us shareholders a little bonus.
All of those are possibilities. They
Right.
could reinvest in their core business, modernize that Toopran plant,
Right.
or even branch out into new markets.
Okay.
Or, they might decide to return some of that value to shareholders.
Dividends, share buybacks.
Exactly.
So many options.
It'd be interesting to see what they choose.
For sure. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with the future,
Right.
there's another development we should touch on, more on the personnel side.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Rajiv Gulati,
Okay.
an independent director,
Right.
has finished his term on the board.
Oh, all right.
What's the significance of that?
Well, Independent directors, they play a really important role
Okay.
in good corporate governance.
Right.
They bring an outside perspective. They act as a check on management,
I see.
making sure the company's doing what's best for everyone.
Not just a select few. So Mr. Gulati leaving,
Yeah.
it does make you wonder how the board dynamics might shift.
Yeah, it's like losing a voice of reason.
Right. But the company did thank him for his contributions.
Okay, good.
So at least it seems like it was amicable.
That's good.
All right. Let's see what the market thinks about all of this.
Okay.
Screener, the stock analysis platform,
Right.
refers to VST as a leading cigarette manufacturer.
Well, they're not wrong.
No arguments there.
Noke about 10% of the market share.
They're a major player for sure.
Definitely in a strong position.
But their stock price, it's been kind of a roller coaster lately.
Oh, really?
Right now, it's around 314 rupees.
Okay.
It's seen a high of 487 and a low of 292.
Wow, that's quite a range.
What's driving all that up and down movement?
Well, there are always a lot of factors influencing stock prices.
Sure.
General industry trends, government regulations, company-specific news.
Like the bonus share issue we talked about.
Exactly, and things like their operational changes.
It's a whole mix of things.
A complex interplay of forces.
And Screener points out some interesting things in their analysis.
Okay, like what?
On the plus side, VST has low debt,
Good.
a solid dividend yield of 4.35%,
Not bad at all.
and a good dividend payout ratio.
So they're sharing a decent chunk of their profits with shareholders.
Right, but they also flag some potential concerns, don't they?
Yeah, they do. One is that slow sales growth we talked about.
Yeah,
That 5.27% growth over the past 5 years.
right.
That's quite a bit lower than you'd expect.
From a company their size, yeah,
Exactly.
with their market dominance.
Right. It suggests they might be having trouble attracting new customers?
Or keeping the ones they have.
Yeah, either one.
And don't forget, they're the third largest player in the Indian market.
It's not like they're a tiny startup
Exactly.
trying to figure things out.
Got a legacy to uphold
Right. This sluggish growth, it raises some questions.
about whether they can keep up.
Yeah, are they innovating enough?
Are they reaching the right consumers?
Those are the things they need to be asking themselves.
So it's not just about becoming more efficient.
No, it's about finding ways to grow in a tough environment.
And before we move on, let's go back to that term you used earlier,
Which one?
promoter holding.
Oh, right, yeah.
Could you explain that a bit more
Sure.
and why it matters in this case?
Okay, so promoter holding,
Yeah.
it means the percentage of shares
Right.
that are held by the promoters.
Founders.
Exactly. It's like how much of a stake they have in the game.
Okay, got it.
So for VST Industries,
Yeah.
their promoter holding is actually on the lower side.
At 32.16%.
Right.
And does that impact anything?
It can.
Like how?
Well, a high promoter holding,
Okay.
it's usually seen as a good sign.
Like a vote of confidence?
Yeah, from the people who built the company, they're invested in its success.
Makes sense.
A low promoter holding, though,
All right.
sometimes it raises concerns, like maybe they're not as committed.
To the company's future?
Yeah, but it can also be seen as a positive.
How so?
It could mean a more diversified ownership structure.
Which could be good.
Exactly, so it really depends.
Not a clear-cut good or bad thing.
Right, depends on how you interpret it and the situation.
Okay, back to VST Industries moves.
Yeah.
Consolidating, selling property, navigating a changing market.
You're busy.
What's the big picture message here?
I think it shows they know the challenges they face, and they're actively trying to address them.
Taking action.
Exactly, consolidating operations.
Yeah.
That's clearly about improving efficiency and cutting costs.
Right.
And monetizing their property.
Yeah.
It suggests they want to free up some cash.
To invest elsewhere.
Right, for future investments.
But it's not just about saving money and raising capital, right?
No, of course not.
It's what they do with those resources.
Exactly. That's the key question.
Double down on their core business. Explore new opportunities.
Those are the choices they have to make.
Their strategic vision is really important here.
It is. The decisions they make now will shape their future.
So they're at a turning point,
For sure.
and we get to watch it unfold.
It's going to be interesting.
This deep dive just keeps getting more intriguing.
It does.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
Think bigger picture.
Right.
How might VST Industries' actions impact the whole Indian tobacco market?
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
Because their strategic moves could ripple through the entire industry.
Okay. I'm ready to explore those ripples.
So let's dive in.
We were talking about those ripple effects.
Right, how VST Industries' decisions might impact the whole market.
Yeah, what kind of waves are they making?
Well, they're definitely sending a message to their competitors.
Oh, yeah, how so?
By taking these big steps
Right.
to become more efficient, potentially free up all that capital.
Right, from selling the property
Exactly. They're putting pressure on everyone else.
to step up their game.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call for the rest of the industry.
What might those other companies do in response?
Well, they might have to rethink their own strategies.
Right.
Maybe consider similar moves, you know?
Like consolidating, modernizing
Exactly, even diversifying.
to stay competitive.
It's all about keeping up in a changing market.
It's like a domino effect.
Kind of, yeah.
One company makes a move and the rest follow.
It can happen that way.
But it's not just the companies, right?
No, of course not.
What about the consumers?
Yeah, the everyday smokers.
How might they be affected?
That's a good question.
Right.
Well, if VST's consolidation does lead to lower production costs,
Which we talked about.
right, then one possibility is
Yeah.
they might lower cigarette prices.
Oh, to pass on the savings.
Exactly.
That could attract new smokers.
It could, or encourage existing smokers to buy more.
Right. But isn't the government trying to reduce smoking rates in India?
Absolutely. They've got all sorts of policies in place.
Taxes, regulations.
Exactly. Trying to discourage tobacco use.
So VST's actions could make things a bit complicated.
They could, especially if it leads to those lower prices.
Right. It's a tough situation.
It is. You've got companies wanting to grow, consumers making choices, and the government trying to protect public health.
It seems like VST is walking a tightrope.
They are. Their actions could have unintended consequences.
Like those lower prices making smoking more accessible.
Right. Which could lead to more health problems.
And higher healthcare costs.
Exactly. It's a reminder that business decisions, they're not just about profit and loss.
They affect real people.
They do. They impact society as a whole.
Understanding those bigger implications is crucial.
It is, for everyone involved.
From consumers to companies to the government.
Right. Making informed decisions at every level.
Well said. This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
It has.
Seeing how business, economics, and society are all connected.
It's all intertwined.
It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet.
No, it's about real-world impact.
So, if we had to sum up the key takeaways from our look at VST Industries, what are the most important things for our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is VST is at a crucial point.
At a crossroads.
Exactly. They're financially strong, willing to make bold moves.
We saw that.
But they're also operating in a tough industry.
Right, facing some serious challenges.
Trying to adapt, to evolve.
Streamlining, becoming more efficient.
Unlocking resources for future growth.
But their success will depend on how well they execute.
And on having a clear vision.
And those ripple effects.
Right. Their actions could have a big impact on the whole market.
On competitors, consumers, even the government.
It's a complex situation.
Definitely a dynamic story.
With a lot still to unfold.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Full of twists and turns.
For sure.
But as always, we like to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
To spark some further exploration.
I like it.
So here's a final thought.
All right.
How might ESG investing?
You know, environmental, social governance factors.
Exactly. How might that impact companies like VST Industries in the future?
That's a great question to consider.
Because as investors focus more on sustainability.
And social responsibility.
Companies in controversial industries, like tobacco.
They're going to face more pressure.
To adapt, to change.
It's a trend to watch.
It'll be interesting to see how VST responds.
For sure.
What strategies they use to navigate the challenges and the opportunities.
Will they prioritize short-term profits or long-term sustainability?
Will they embrace change or resist it?
Only time will tell.
This is an evolving story.
Keep following it.
Draw your own
And
conclusions.
see how it all plays out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into VST Industries.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a different topic.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper.